Ms. Legalista, aka Attorney Sheila here. I want to talk about this whole, I guess, sort of controversy around Sniper Wolf and Jack's films having to do with doxing. And there's a lot of conversation out there already, but let me give you a little bit of background here. I want to talk about what doxing is. I'm going to pull up a definition. We're going to talk about how that can go from just being something that's an issue on a platform like YouTube to something that can actually wind up getting you charged, depending upon what it is you're doing. We're going to take a look at Jack's Films account to see exactly what he's been saying about what went on. But just to give you a bit of a backstory, there was, I guess, some issues going back and forth between the two of them because Sniper Wolf basically records content of her reacting to other people's comments. And Jack's Films had taken issue with her not exactly crediting some of the people who she was reacting to, some of their content, and the fact that maybe she was only doing a minimal amount of work around this. But she has a very large following. I should pull some information up around that so that I can tell you. This is a Social Blade, and Social Blade is not always entirely correct, but it can give us an idea of where people are and what's going on. Let me pull it up so you can see it here instead of me just talking about it. The key thing, the key takeaway here, before we start talking about what doxing is, the key takeaway here is I want you to think about the difference between somebody telling 5 people where you live and versus what it says she has here. 34, over 34 million subscribers. That's a big audience. Imagine that someone is being doxed to that kind of audience. Over 3,400 uploads. And then you can see Social Blade said she is ranked 36th in the country. 36th in the country. Now, let's go down here to monthly earnings because this is what some people is saying is having this sort of impact on YouTube's decision, and that YouTube has not banned her or taken a larger stance against her because of the amount of money that she's bringing in. And again, this is an estimate. This could be way off by a lot or a little, who knows? But anywhere from $38,000 a month to $600,000 a month are her estimated earnings. The average views that she's getting, daily views and monthly views. But let me switch over and just go to what doxing is first so that we can have a conversation about it before we dig a little deeper into what Jack's Films has to say, because I want to clear up just some things about what doxing is. All right, so I just did a quick Google search here. You can see it says, what is doxing? And this is just a general definition. I haven't even gotten into talking about the legal issues relating to this yet. It's a verb, informal, doxing. Search for and publish private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent. Let me see what else they've got down here where it says see more. Let's see what else some other parties have to say. The action or process of searching for and publishing private or identifying information about a particular. Okay, so that's the same one we just saw. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say. Doxing is the act of publicly providing personally identifying information about an individual or organization, usually via the internet. CNN says, according to the International Encyclopedia of Gender, Media, and Communication, doxing is the intentional revelation of a person's private, let's see what the rest of that says, if I can get to it, private information online without their consent, often with malicious intent. This includes the sharing of phone numbers, home addresses, identification numbers, and essentially any sensitive or previously private information, such as personal photos that could make a victim identifiable and potentially exposed to further harassment, humiliation, and real-life threats, including stalking and unwanted personal and unwanted encounters in person. So now that gives you a little bit of background about what doxing is. Here's the thing. I want us to be clear that sometimes things are done unintentionally not with malicious intent, and that it is more negligent. And the reason I bring that up is because I review a lot of legal documents on this channel. And I don't want to be too specific about this, but I had someone say, hey, you just doxed somebody by including their personal information up here. And so let me sort of backtrack here. That's the reason why I'm talking about the intent and why somebody's doing that and what gets them started doing it. So I did not go out to personally search for this person's private or public information. And personal information. It was actually included in a legal document, and the person had actually provided it as part of a set of legal documents. And so when I was reviewing the legal documents, I didn't mention anything about the person's address or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I missed it on the document because, of course, these things are usually at the very top. So I didn't even see it, didn't notice it until that person pointed it out. And I was just like, oh, yeah. And at that point, it's really hard to go back and try to figure out how you're going to fix that. Although maybe I could go back and blur that out. But there was no malicious intent there. I didn't go out to try to seek this person out and let everybody know anything about this. And there was no purpose for me to try to get other people to do anything. We literally were just reviewing a legal document. And so we have to take into account, what's the intent? Why is a person doing this? Is it just negligence that somebody included something, or is it actually intentional? And that's some of the things we want to keep in mind. It's very hard now to be hidden from the world. And so therefore there's a little bit more of a higher bar that you have to jump over when you're going to consider it to be doxing, and not just the inadvertent sharing. You mistakenly included something. That would just be negligence. You weren't doing your job. You didn't probably look at things like you should have, which is what happened in my case. I should have been paying better attention. But I want to go over to Twitter now to actually see some of what is on at Jack's Films Twitter page. So this is some of the conversation that has been going on. And this was directed to Team YouTube. This is one of the posts. And I'm just going to go back over some of these. The best time to remove Sniper Wolf from your platform was Friday night when she showed up at our home, filmed and posted a live video of our house to her 5 million plus Instagram followers while my wife and I were inside, and dared me to come out. The second best time is now. I've sent video evidence to the appropriate channels and am happy to share directly with you. This is a clear example of doxing and a clear violation of your policy stated here. I'm aware you are looking into the situation, but this is a black and white case that holds dangerous implications if it goes unchecked. Please act now and remove this channel from your platform. Let me talk a little bit about YouTube's policy. And I actually posted this in another video. YouTube has a policy. Of course, those of us who are on YouTube know this. Those of us who are on Instagram and Facebook, they all say pretty much the same thing. This is our platform. If we don't like what you're doing, we can take you down, period. Okay. And they can do that as long as they don't violate other laws in the process. For instance, is there discrimination involved? Is there some employee in the company who's using it as a way to sort of, I don't know, defame another party or something like that? So as long as there's not anything else going on, it's their platform and they can take you down. They can choose to change their policies and update them. And as a result, it's incumbent upon people who use the platform to follow those guidelines. And YouTube has said in the past, we have a whole set of community guidelines, and we can take into account not only what you do on our platform, but also what you do off platform. And typically what you see as a result is you will see channels demonetized, videos demonetized, channels banned and taken down. So it will range. They will range. And in some cases, people are upset about what has happened. In this case, they don't feel like YouTube has taken the proper response, given how upsetting this is. Imagine you're in your home and somebody's outside filming, telling 5 million people where you live and all sorts of other things about you personally. I don't imagine anyone would feel good in that circumstance. And so even though, she wasn't doing this on her YouTube platform at the time, I believe she was posting to her Instagram team live, her Instagram followers live, it still presents a problem, a very unsettling problem. So I want to go beyond that now and talk about the legal side of things. Now, in some, and I don't even know why I'm taking these on and off because I'm not really reading anything right now. Different states have different laws around this. Some states haven't gotten that far yet. And so it may be that you might simply have to follow their just regular harassment or stalking law. But some states do have particular laws in place that deal with this occurring on the internet. So there you go. This sort of brings us up to speed, helps us understand what doxing is, what kind of circumstances you're looking for, and how other states are now saying, you know what, we need to lift the bar up. The last thing I'm going to say is I've taught entertainment and business law before, and I can tell you the textbook that I use is right there on the shelf. I can tell you these textbooks have not been updated to take into account many of the legal issues that are coming up with this increased use of technology and social media platforms. I can tell you that a lot of the cases that were in the casebook that I used were older cases, and they were around traditional legal issues that we already know about. So things like defamation and publicity and privacy rights, but they don't get into things like doxing. Is just, I don't think there's a single case in that book on doxing. So it's not just in terms of the social media platforms putting things in place, but we still have a legal system that is behind on this in terms of not just the laws, but also in teaching law students and prospective attorneys about some of the issues around this. Hope that provides you with some information. I know that's a lot, and I'm not necessarily reviewing a whole lot of documents in this instance, but I did want to talk about doxing, what we're looking for, and how we need to hold ourselves up to higher standards in terms of what these things look like, even on the negligence side. Like I said, even where I dropped the ball. So don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and peace.